And we begin with latest developments in Rivers State, where the state government on Monday accused the State House of Assembly of obstructing Governor Siminalayi Fubara from fully implementing the Supreme Court judgment. Speaking at a press conference in Port Harcourt, Commissioner for Information Joseph Johnson stated that Governor Fubara has remained committed to implementing the court's verdict despite its unfavorable outcome. The State House of Assembly had served a notice of alleged misconduct against Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy, Ngozi Odu.
What they have tried to do to remedy the unreasonable decision of Anthony Senate is to accuse the governor not being enough to implement the Supreme Court's judgments. Unfortunately, some parties have failed, as the people of Rivers State now know that this is an afterthought aimed at covering their plans. It is rather a face-saving attempt, deceptive, and a pointer that the interest of the state is not part of their consideration. Consequences and harsh reality of RSHA's action on Rivers people vis-a-vis running of the government. It is glaringly clear that with the current actions of the House, the dire consequences and harsh realities that the civil servants, retirees, and people of the state would face unimaginable economic hardships, as the government would be unable to pay salaries, pensions, and other emoluments, as well as perform other obligations at the end of the month, as both the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Accountant General of the Federation have been ordered to cease revenue allocations to the state until this judgment is fully implemented. The collateral damages of the actions of legislative arm of the government in Rivers State will be so severe as non-release of warehouse revenue due to the state from the federation account will only ground the operations of all sectors of the government. An appeal for a thing by Rivers State House of Assembly. Instead of embarking on a futile image launch by members of the Rivers State House of Assembly by wrongly claiming that Governor Siminalayi Fubara, who by own intents and purposes is prepared, willing and ready to represent the 2025 budget and carry out full implementation of all aspects of the bizarre and utterly controversial judgment of the First Court for the sake of peace, is being misrepresented and painted in part all as not ready to comply with the judgments. Should this opportunity to pull the state from the precipice fail, the people and residents of the state, without exception, are bound to suffer avoidable calamities of economic, social, and political occurrence that might sink us deeper into unimaginable crisis. The seeking time saves nine.
Earlier, we were joined from Port Harcourt by Haya King, a lawyer who gave us some insight into the matter. Take a look.
I don't think they have enough ground, if you ask me, to initiate impeachment proceedings, because the impeachment proceedings against a governor or even a senator or even a House of Assembly is a very cumbersome process, and you must have every of the process, you must get it right. You cannot get some and leave some. What they have just established a notice, and after that, there will be a second process, and all that, and before you'll be able to get to the real thing. For me, they are adjourned indefinitely at the Senegal. They didn't give a date of return on the 14th. That same 14th. I wonder how they were able to immediately move.
And now to politics. Olajide Adediran, popularly known as Jandor, the 2023 Lagos State governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has officially defected to the All Progressives Congress, APC. Jandor announced his return on Monday, March 17, 2025, during a press conference at his campaign office in Ikeja, Lagos. News Central's Omolola Ololade has more in this report. Take a look.
Following his resignation from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, 2 weeks ago, the 2023 Lagos State governorship candidate of the PDP, Olajide Adediran, popularly known as Jandor, officially announces his defection to the All Progressives Congress during a press conference at his campaign office in Ikeja, Lagos.
We wish to formally announce that we have decided to join a political party that considers winnings for its members as top priority, not minding who is on the ballot. Gentlemen of the press, we have decided to return to the All Progressive Congress APC.
Dismissing claims that he was responsible for PDP's loss in the 2023 elections, Jandor challenged party leaders to present evidence of their own polling unit results while accusing the party's leaders of hypocrisy, internal betrayals, and persistent electoral failures. The former PDP flag bearer praised the APC's leadership structure, contrasting it with what he described as PDP's culture of self-sabotage.
I listened to all their vituperations in the media and reasons given for our loss at the polls. Gentlemen of the press, I appeal to you that you ask their supreme leader, Chief Olabode George, whenever he appears on your medium, ask him why hasn't he won his polling unit since he's been in the party for 20 years. In APC, we have a leader. Even if you want to fault his selection choices, you can't fault his desire to always win for his party to the benefit of all members and their followers and the state. While in Lagos PDP, you have a leader that will at every election cycle work against his own party and willfully dash the hopes of many party members and followers. We have chosen the better alternative.
Jandor will reveal that his decision followed extensive consultations with family, political associates, elder statesmen, supporters who share same vision for a greater and more prosperous Lagos, confirmed holding discussions with multiple political parties, including the SDP, ADC and YPP, before ultimately choosing to return to the APC. He, however, emphasizes his commitment to service, integrity, and progress, promising to work towards a Lagos that works for everyone. In Lagos, for News Central, Omolola Ololade.
The Etiosa Local Government Inspector of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, in Lagos State was noticeably absent on Monday after summoning a corps member, Ushe Rita, over her viral social media video criticizing President Bola Tinubu's administration. Human rights activist Omoyele Sowore and a team of lawyers had accompanied Rita to the NYSC office in Etiosa Local Government Area for the scheduled meeting. But upon arrival, the LGI who issued the summons was nowhere to be found. The corps member had been directed to report to the NYSC office at 10 a.m. on Monday following the controversy surrounding her TikTok video in which she lamented the rising cost of living in Nigeria. However, when she arrived with Sowore and legal representatives, including attorneys Festus Ogun, Adeyinka Oyeshomi, and Justice Ejionu, the official who summoned her was absent. In the meantime, reactions have stirred a debate over the legality of freedom of speech for corps members expressing their views on governance and national issues. This followed the viral video of a Lagos-based corps member, Ushe Rita, who openly criticized President Bola Tinubu, calling him a terrible leader over the weekend. The Youth Corps member expressed frustration over Nigeria's worsening economic conditions and questioned the government's efforts to alleviate citizens' hardship as an action that Ushe now claims elicited threats from the authorities and an invitation to the Etiosa Local Government NYSC Secretariat ahead of a panel hearing which never held due to the absence of the local government inspector. But her legal team hopes the matter dies a natural death, maintaining that Ushe has not committed any offense but merely expressed frustrations of an average Nigerian.
Demanding for a better country is not partisan politics. That is on the one hand. Demanding that you want a good leadership in your country, that you are tired of the mess that is going all around, is not partisan politics. It is a civic responsibility. That is on the one hand. On the other hand, the right of freedom of expression, guaranteed under Section 39 of the Constitution, cannot be limited by NYSC guideline or bylaws. We have always also served this country. We've also passed through the NYSC scheme some years ago. And I can tell you categorically that there is nothing in the NYSC bylaw that restricts the right of a citizen to express himself or herself. What the NYSC bylaw stipulates is that, look, you cannot address the press on some issues.
And joining us now is Justice Ekeremo. He joins us now for more insights from today's outing. And let me just mention that he's part of the legal team or legal representative for Rita Osei, the core member. Justice, thanks for joining us. You're a part of the legal team. You were there for the panel hearing or summoning, but there was absence. Let's start by asking what happened, what played out today.
Okay, minimally, what they just sent to her was the text message inviting her, and of course we will not have consented to anything, a panel or something like that, because now they are here to serve her with anything formal, stating to her in very, very clear terms what exactly she did wrong and how he flouted any bylaw.
Seem to be having issues there with his connectivity. Justice Ekeremo, part of the legal team for Rita Osei, the core member who's come under fire, giving her viral TikTok video expressing dissent to President Bola Tinubu's administration. Justice, we lost you for a second, but please continue. We'll try to bring you this discussion during the course of this bulletin, if we can be able to fix his audio. Justice Ekeremo there, we'll try to fix his audio. Justin, are you back?
Yes, I'm fully with you.
All right, go ahead, please.
So I was saying that whenever it was that the invitation to be something that is
seem to be having network difficulties there. We'll try to fix it if we can. Let's just move on, shall we? This time to security. Or rather, let's go on a short break. When we return, we'll bring you security stories. Stay here. And welcome back. And off to security stories. Security operatives have arrested 17 oil thieves, and suspected killers of an officer of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC) Assistant Superintendent of Corps Umar Aliyu. According to a statement from the Public Relations Officer of the NSCDC in Abuja, Babawale Afolabi, the suspects were arrested during a joint operation by the Commandant General's Special Intelligence Squad. Afolabi said those arrested were also involved in oil theft, among other illegalities. He said the syndicates, who consist of sea pirates, were arrested at Tonogbe, Ekeremo Local Government Area of Bayelsa State. And now joining us for more perspectives on this is he joins us live from Lagos, Darlington Umoru. He is a security expert. Darlington, many thanks for doing this with us. Let's just get started, shall we? This sort of arrest has become somewhat rampant, so much that we're now seeing more of this in the news. What's not normal? Why does oil theft continue to persist?
Well, it's that's the black gold you are talking about, that is enriching a lot of people in that axis, and so many are making lots of money by scooping it on. It's a big business, and a lot of them are making lots of money from it, and so it will not die down, very easily. We've seen some national and international conspiracies. We've seen vessels being seized that are used to cut away the oil, that we commonly refer to as the black gold of this nation.
And in the past, we've seen top officials being indicated in very high-profile cases of this sort. How much of it could be a real cause of persisting oil theft? Can we connect the two, high-profile and the persistence of oil theft in the Niger Delta?
It's of course it has to do with the high-profile people because they are the ones who can recruit the bunkers, those who can steal the oil, those who can scoop it, those who have the facilities to scoop it. The smaller people in the society wouldn't apparently be able to achieve all of that. It's a big business for definitely those you want to refer to as the high-profile people because they, aside from the expertise, they are the ones who can muzzle up the resources to gather whether the vessels, the speedboats or the oil vessels with which these things can be moved out of this country. Sometimes they sell to pirates, those of them who will buy from them and take away, and sometimes they themselves do the dealings. And then, the biggest challenge is that they do not even understand the amount of havoc they are doing to this nation. They bust pipes, they from where they scoop this oil. To the glory of God, the federal government of Nigeria, aside from the NSCDC and the Nigerian Navy, have also recruited some private security persons, particularly the likes of Tompulu, who are reporting such theft, or who are going down the creeks to even identify areas where such thefts are being done, or by these pirates. Again, they are ready to take out anybody who comes their way, anybody who comes who try to stop them from scooping this oil, because it gives them a lot of money. Nigeria natural resources over time has become a problem in the sense that if you look at particularly what is happening in Zamfara State, for instance, this was how bandits came to be, where people, the high-profile people in that state, will recruit even foreigners to come and help them steal the gold that they have in that area. Now, in the Niger Delta as well, these persons are also armed. These thieves are also armed, and they are ready to take out any security agent or who tries to come their way in trying to stop them from doing that, from carrying out those criminal activities. I think government should do so much more to protecting these security agencies from these criminals who are ready to do anything just for the sake of making money.
And what then will be that more? What's the way out?
Well, the way out is to beef up security, get more men like the likes of Tompulu, who can get into the creeks, who can discover, who can get as far as where our conventional security agencies cannot even really get to. I'm talking about the creeks now, giving information and then helping the security agencies to tackle these thieves. They know them because, of course, these are persons who are known in some of those areas, who are ready to do anything to take out anybody who comes their way, who try to stop them from stealing this crude oil. And what they are doing is affecting the general economy of this country, because sometimes it affects the quantity of barrels that the country is expected to, given by OPEC to export to areas where they can, make monies from. And so the government needs to do more by beefing up security to ensuring that some of these thieves are curtailed. Or again, for those of them who are known, call them to order, sit with them, talk with them, and then reach out to our agreement.
All right, well, I must say thank you so much for taking our time to join us. Security expert all the way from Lagos, Darlington Umoru. Once again, thank you.
My pleasure.
And now to Kano State, as part of efforts to address recent allegations of salary deductions in its civil service, the Kano State government says it has established a state payroll standing committee to ensure accurate salary payments for March. This comes just 3 weeks after civil servants raised concerns over underpayment in January and February of 2025. Speaking to journalists on the development, the Secretary to the State Government, Umar Farouk Ibrahim, assured that the government is committed to resolving the matter. He said the committee will work around the clock to conclude the payment, or rather the payroll validation process, before the salary payment deadline on March 25th.
Involvement of ministries, departments, and agencies, and by extension the workers themselves, into the process of this salary administration is crucial and important. For this reason, the government resolved that beginning perhaps from tomorrow or the day after, the entire payroll of the state and the entire payroll of the local governments will be printed and handed over to respective ministries, departments, and agencies, and the 44 local governments, so that they can critically examine the payroll, display it for individual workers to examine, so as to detect whether or not there are inconsistencies in the payroll.
On the occasion of World Hijab Day 2025, religious leaders in Borno State came together to underscore the importance of the hijab in protecting the modesty of Muslim women. The annual event, marked by a large congregation of Muslim women and men, saw an emphasis on the moral and spiritual benefits of adhering to Islamic dress code. News Central's Umar Aliyu completes the report.
The well-known hijab is considered a shield in safeguarding women's dignity. The Arabic word hijab, meaning covering or veil, is traditionally covering the body, leaving only the face and hands exposed.
Hijab is a kind of garment that will cover your when you dressed, it's cover your whole body. So I'm appealing, I'm calling to our daughters, girls, women to imbibe wearing hijab, because it's very, very important. It's a kind of security for a woman to wear hijab.
Prominent figures and religious leaders here took the opportunity to remind this gathering of the spiritual significance of the hijab, which serves as a tool for both personal and societal transformation.
Whoever that wears hijab testifies his faith and dignity. Islam mandated women to be wearing hijab, not only to celebrate in a certain day, but throughout life.
Hijabi kariya ne daga dukkanin shari, kamar yadda malam ya ce, yana karewa in mutum ya sa shi daga sharrin masu neman mata, masu kallon mata, masu kiraye-kirayen mata. Allah zai kare su daga wannan shari da izinin Allah. Mahimmancin hijabi ba zai irgu ba. Yana da kyau hijabi in kai sallah ba hijabi cikakke, sallah ka babu ita.
Interactive discussion on the intersection of religious identity, emphasizing how wearing the hijab allows Muslim women to assert their rights.
This day is not just a celebration, it is a vital reminder of the significance of modesty, dignity, and self-respect for Muslim women around the world, and particularly in our cherished state, Borno. The hijab is more than a garment. It is a manifestation of our faith, our cultural identity, and our commitment to the values of modesty and humility.
The stakeholders pointed out that wearing the hijab is not just an external act, but a reflection of the inner purity and modesty of the individual. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umar Aliyu.
Ekiti State Governor Biodun Oyebanji has praised President Bola Tinubu for initiating policies that empowered sub-national governments to implement impactful projects. Governor Oyebanji gave the accolades while receiving the Silver Bird Man of the Year Awards held at the Eco Hotel and Suites, Victoria Island, Lagos State. Oyebanji received the Man of the Year Award in recognition of his achievements and outstanding contributions to national development. Expressing his gratitude to the founder and management of Silverbird Groups for nominating him and Nigerians for voting for him, the governor said the award serves as both recognition and a challenge to do more in delivering quality leadership and impactful policies. He said he remained committed to continuing his efforts in transforming the state and improving the lives of the citizens. The president of the African Development Bank, AFDB, Akinwumi Adesina, has bagged Kenya's highest national honor of the Chief of the Order of the Golden Heart Award. President William Ruto conferred the national honor on Adesina in recognition of his contributions to Kenya's infrastructure development, particularly in his role in advancing the last-mile connectivity and Lake Turkana wind power projects. Adesina became the 9th recipient of the award and the only Nigerian to be so honored in Kenya. Speaking after receiving the award at the State House in Nairobi, Kenya, Adesina, who has led AFDB since 2015, expresses gratitude to the president for the honor. The Chief of the Order of the Golden Heart is Kenya's highest honors bestowed upon individuals who have demonstrated exceptional service to the nation. News continues in East Africa, where Human Rights Watch has urged Kenya to complete its investigations into mutilated bodies found in a Nairobi quarry last year and to address allegations that police obstructed recovery efforts. Last July, volunteers discovered 10 butchered female corpses and unidentified body parts in an abandoned quarry in Mukuru slum, shocking the nation. The discovery came amid anti-government protests, with rights groups accusing police of brutality and abductions. Authorities quickly arrested a suspect who allegedly confessed to killing 42 women, but he escaped police custody weeks later. The Human Rights Watch has stated that no prosecutions have taken place and accused police of blocking volunteers from retrieving more remains. The rights group has called for a thorough investigation, warning that obstructing justice undermines accountability in Kenya's security forces. Foreign ministers from the Southern African Community, from the Southern African Development Community (SADC) and East African Community (EAC) meet in Zimbabwe capital Harare to discuss the escalating conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The meeting follows the recent end of the SADC military mission in DRC. The Southern African regional grouping SADC decided Thursday to end its military deployment to the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo after losing at least a dozen soldiers in conflict. A virtual summit of the 16-nation bloc terminated the mandate of SAMI DRC and directed the commencement of a phased withdrawal.
Our meeting today will require us to make difficult decisions, which require dedicated financial and technical support for them to be effective and impactful. It is important to ensure that we establish clear and practical timelines for their implementation, ensuring that each stage is adequately resourced.
Let me also note the decision by the Extraordinary Summit of Heads of States of Government of SADC held on 13 March 2025, including termination of the mandate of SADC mission in DRC. The United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, estimates that the resurgence of conflict in the province of South Kivu in the eastern DRC has forced more than 700,000 people, nearly half of them children, to flee their homes. More than 1,000 schools in the province have been closed.
And now we head to South Africa, where the South African Office of the Presidency says the latest move by the United States to expel South Africa's ambassador Ibrahim Rasool is regrettable. This follows a tweet by the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who announced that Rasool has been branded persona non grata in the country following an address by the ambassador in which he criticized U.S. President Donald Trump. In the address, Russell accused Trump of leading a global white supremacist movement and breaking down established norms and practices when it comes to diplomacy. This move by the U.S. represents a further escalation in the diplomatic feud between Washington and Pretoria. Following the statement, President Cyril Ramaphosa's office has urged all relevant and impacted stakeholders to maintain the established diplomatic decorum in their engagement on the matter. And welcome back. President Donald Trump has announced plans to speak with Russian President Vladimir Putin about ending the war in Ukraine. Now, this comes amid fresh efforts to broker a ceasefire, but there are already contentious discussions about dividing up certain assets. The News Central international correspondent Afia Hagen has more.
This week could see major developments on global diplomacy. Speaking aboard Air Force One, President Trump revealed that negotiations over a potential Ukraine-Russia ceasefire are well underway, with discussions touching on the division of land and power plants.
I think we'll be talking about land. It's a lot of land. It's a lot different than it was before the war, as you know. And we'll be talking about land. We'll be talking about power plants. That's it's a big question, but I think we have a lot of it already discussed very much by both sides.
The U.S. has proposed a halt to the fighting, which Ukraine has accepted. Officials in Washington are optimistic that a ceasefire deal could be reached in the coming weeks.
We're doing pretty well, I think, with Russia. We'll see if we have something to announce maybe by Tuesday. I'll be speaking to President Putin on Tuesday. And a lot of work's been done over the weekend. We want to see if we can bring that war to an end. Maybe we can, maybe we can't, but I think we have a very good chance.
However, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky remains skeptical, accusing Moscow of stalling for time to improve its position on the battlefield. He warns that Russia is not yet ready to end the war. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov discuss aspects of the U.S.-Russia summit in Saudi Arabia. While both sides have agreed to remain in contact, Russia has yet to commit to a ceasefire. Tensions remain high, with Ukraine reporting that Russia launched 90 Iranian-made Shahed drones across 9 regions overnight. President Putin has dismissed the ceasefire initiative as favoring Ukraine. With Russian forces gaining ground in certain areas, he has raised serious questions over the proposal. Canada's new Prime Minister Mark Carney has also entered the conversation, speaking with Zelensky and pushing for tougher sanctions against Russia. Canada, which holds the G7 presidency this year, is expected to lead further diplomatic efforts. And in a major shake-up within Ukraine's military, Zelensky has replaced the Chief of General Staff, appointing Andrei Navtov in a bid to increase efficiency on the battlefield. With world leaders ramping up diplomatic pressure, all eyes are now on Tuesday's Trump-Putin call. Could this be the first real step towards ending the war in Ukraine? For News Central, I'm Afia Hagen.
Meanwhile, a massive rally is currently ongoing in Yemen after the leader of Yemeni's Iran-backed Houthi rebels has called for million-strong march of defiance. Yemen's Houthi rebels say they have been fresh U.S. strikes against them, with the number of dead rising to 53, including 5 children. Targets in the Al-Jafar and Hudaydah areas were hit early on Monday, according to the rebel group, while the U.S. Central Command said its forces had continued operations. The U.S. launched what it called a decisive and powerful wave of airstrikes on Houthi targets on Saturday as part of efforts to stop Houthi attacks on shipping in the Red Sea. Washington says some key Houthi figures are among the dead, but the group has not confirmed this yet. In the meantime, the conflict between Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels and the United States has escalated, with Houthis claiming responsibility for a second attack on the USS Harry S. Truman and its warships in the Red Sea within 24 hours. The attack is seen as retaliation for U.S. airstrikes targeting Houthi positions. The Houthis launched missiles and drones at the U.S. carrier group, but U.S. forces intercepted and destroyed several projectiles. No casualties were reported from the U.S. side, but the Houthis have confirmed deaths from the U.S. airstrikes, with at least 53 reported killed, including women and children. The Houthis have framed their actions as resistance to U.S. support for Israeli policies, while the U.S. stresses its commitment to maintaining freedom of navigation. The UN has called for restraint to prevent further destabilization.
تأتي هذه العمليات للقوات المسلحة اليمنية حيث استهدفت بعون الله تعالى وللمرة الثانية خلال 24 ساعة حاملة الطائرات الأمريكية USS هاري ترومان في شمال البحر الأحمر، وذلك بعدد من الصواريخ البالستية والمجنحة والطائرات المسيرة في اشتباك استمر لعدة ساعات. ونجحت القوات المسلحة اليمنية في إفشال هجوم معاد كان العدو يحضر لشنه على بلدنا، واضطرت طائراته الحربية المحلقة إلى العودة من حيث انطلقت بعد إطلاق عدد من الصواريخ والمسيرات على حاملة الطائرات وعدد من القطع الحربية التابعة لها. إن القوات المسلحة اليمنية.
The Trump administration has initiated mass layoffs at Voice of America, VOA, and other U.S.-funded media. This signals a broader effort to restructure the outlets long regarded as key instrument of U.S. influence. The move came as just a day after all employees were placed on leave, with contractual staff receiving termination notices stating that their employment would officially end by March. According to an email, contractors were informed that they must cease all work immediately and are not permitted to access any agency buildings or systems. Nigeria's headline inflation rate dropped to 23.18% in February of 2025, down from 24.48% in January, a 1.30% decrease. On a month-on-month basis, inflation stood at 2.04%, reflecting a slower pace of price increases. Food inflation remained high at 23.51% year-on-year, signaling continued pressure on household expenses despite the overall decline. The easing inflation offers a glimmer of hope for economic stability, though persistent food costs highlight the ongoing challenges in the country's food supply and pricing dynamics. Nigeria's Naira for crude arrangement with local refiners, including Dangote Refinery, has stalled as the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, prioritizes oil-backed loan repayments. However, the NNPC has clarified that the deal was a 6-month agreement expiring in March of 2025, with ongoing talks for renewal. NNPC has pledged 272,500 barrels per day toward loans totaling $8.86 billion, with crude oil or crude sales forward booked until 2030.
We are aware that with a combined around 272,000 barrels that is already tied down by some of these crude backed loans. We are currently at 1.5 million barrels per day. Based on the last data that was released for the month of February, there are around 1.5 million barrels per day in terms of production, 1.47 million barrels per day to be specific. It will mean that we are roughly around down to about 1.2 million barrels per day. And we must understand that the agreement, again, is based on availability, and they also have to earn money from that particular, production that has taken place. So all we need to really see is then ramp it up to get to the levels that we have known that it's possible to get to, which is around the 2 million barrels per day. And once we see them ramp up in that regard, we should not be so bothered about the constraints that it may bring with regards to them servicing their obligations or even having availability oil for those local refineries to use or utilize when they are fully operational, and even imagining that they are operating at 100% capacity. So all this will be addressed only if we start to them and sustain the level at which they started last year in terms of ramping up production. NNPC is not the only player that supplies FX or helps to supply FX into the market. There are other oil companies that earn FX as well. And there are other FX market participants that play a huge role in terms of supply of FX to the FX market. So NNPC, yes, is big in that regard. And for them to earn FX sustainably, they will have to, address their production leg of things. But again, they are not the only players that supply FX to the market. We have other oil companies, we have other market participants that play a huge role in terms of FX supply. So we are not seeing them faltering as much. So if we have that particular issue coming from the NNPC leg, it does simply mean that they would have to look for means to improve their production capacity in terms of crude oil and earn more FX aside catering to all these constraints or all these obligations that
The Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, led by Ibrahim Gusso, is set to unveil a major milestone on Tuesday with the groundbreaking of the NFF FIFA Players Hostel and training facilities in Abuja. The ceremony will be officiated by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas. The 68-room hostel located at the MKO Abiola National Stadium includes 62 single rooms, 4 suites, and 2 executive suites. Alongside the hostel, 2 new training pitches. One will be a synthetic and the other would have natural grass, which will be to be built alongside the reconstruction of the existing synthetic pitch. The project also includes spectator terraces with 1,838 seats and new dressing rooms for players and officials. Funded by FIFA through its FIFA Forward 3.0 program, the project is expected to be completed in 24 months. This initiative aims to improve Nigeria's football infrastructure. Showtime Flag Football is kicking off its 2025 season with the highly anticipated Showtime Summer Series. For the first time, the league will feature 2 major tournaments in one year, the Summer Series and the Fall Series, cementing its place as the largest professional co-ed flag football league. Showtime Flag Football CEO Manel Nassar, Commissioner Adebare Adejumo, and league head referee Henry Ogwagu shared their thoughts during a recent press conference. They discussed the potential impact of the series on promoting flag football, especially at grassroots and professional levels. And that's all we can take at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. The River State government has dismissed allegations against Governor Siminalayi Fubara and accused lawmakers of preventing him from implementing Supreme Court judgment. Moyele Sowore has accused National Youth Service Corps officials of failing to show up after he led team of lawyers to accompany a core member who criticized Tinubu in a now viral video. And we also told you that South and East African community blocs are meeting on DR Congo crisis. Remember that you can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, on Go TV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and you can stream us live on YouTube. Hey, thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV. Bye for now.